They didn't say, "I miss you." They didn't apologize. But something's changed, and you can feel it. Maybe they're watching your stories more than ever. Maybe they've been oddly active online, or you heard from a mutual friend they asked about you, and yet they're silent. No calls, no text, no let's talk. Avoidants are complicated. But here's the truth most people miss. When an avoidant regrets losing you, they almost never come out and say it. Instead, they send subtle signals, hidden signs, that they're starting to crack under the silence they once needed. As Sigmund Freud once said, "Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways." That's exactly what happens when an avoidant starts feeling the sting of regret. They bury it, but it leaks out in ways you can spot if you know what to look for. You might think they've forgotten you, that they're off living their best life. But avoidance isn't freedom. It's fear in disguise. Fear of vulnerability, fear of connection, fear of being seen. But here's the twist. The very space they created to protect themselves, it's now suffocating them. And if you're seeing small shifts in their behavior, those oddly timed likes, the late-night views, the random check-ins, they're not accidents. They're signs. Signs that your absence is getting louder than your presence ever did. Like the great Rumi said, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. Today, we're going to break it all down. 7 signs your avoidant ex regrets losing you, even if they'd never admit it. These signs are often missed, misunderstood, or mistaken for coincidence. But once you understand them, you'll see the truth. You had more of an impact than they ever let on. And by the end of this video, you'll not only be able to spot the signs, they'll hit different. You'll start to feel the power shifting back into your hands. Because once you realize they never stopped thinking about you, it becomes easier to stop obsessing over them. And trust me, what you'll learn today might just change how you look at them and yourself. So if you've ever wondered, do they miss me but are too scared to say it? Or are they regretting this in silence? This video is going to give you the clarity you deserve. Stick around, because these 7 signs are subtle but powerful, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. And look, I know it's hard not to reach out. I know silence feels heavy, but remember what Maya Angelou taught us. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And now, it's time they see who you've become. The version of you that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and definitely doesn't wait around. If you're ready to take your power back, like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am no longer waiting. I am rising. Let that be your mantra. Let that be your energy. Now let's get into the 7 hidden signs your avoidant ex regrets losing you, starting with the one they hope you never notice. Sign number 1. They start lurking, but say nothing. One of the first and most telling signs that your avoidant ex regrets losing you is their silent digital presence. They're not talking to you, they're not reaching out, but they're watching you, quietly, consistently, carefully. And it's not an accident. They're the first to view your Instagram story. They're randomly liking an old post or showing up in your TikTok likes when they haven't interacted in weeks. You might even catch them accidentally reacting to something on Facebook or viewing your LinkedIn profile at 2 a.m. You didn't imagine it. They're keeping tabs on you because they can't let go. Now, here's the avoidant twist. They won't say a word. They won't comment, won't send a message, won't explain why they're still in your digital orbit. That's the avoidance paradox. They crave closeness, but they're terrified of vulnerability. So they do the only thing that feels safe. They lurk. As Carl Jung put it, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Avoidants struggle to admit regret, even to themselves. But their curiosity gives them away. Watching your life unfold without them, they start to wonder, are they really moving on? And worse, are they happier without me? They may be hoping to see signs that you're hurting, that you're still attached, that there's still a thread they can pull on if they choose to come back. But when they see you glowing, healing, or even just living without them, it triggers an uncomfortable feeling they're not used to. Loss. Real, irreversible loss. This kind of silent attention is their version of a white flag. They want to feel close to you again, but they don't know how to cross the bridge without exposing their emotions. So instead, they stand on the other side, watching you. It may not be the grand romantic gesture you were hoping for, but don't underestimate this behavior. For someone avoidant, even passive observation can be a massive internal shift. It means you're on their mind, more than they want to admit. So if they've gone ghost, but you still feel their presence in the background, trust your instincts. It's not just digital noise, it's a hidden sign of regret and the first crack in their emotional armor. The sign number 2. They suddenly reconnect with mutual friends or spaces you frequent. When your avoidant ex starts to feel the regret creeping in, they often won't come to you directly. They'll come to the people around you. One of the most revealing signs? They start reconnecting with your mutual friends, old social circles, or even places they know you might be. At first, it might seem like a coincidence. A friend casually mentions they got a random message from your ex, or maybe you notice they've been hanging out more with people you used to spend time with together. They might pop up at a party, a gym class, or even that favorite coffee spot they once swore they hated. But trust me, it's not by chance. It's calculated curiosity. Why? Because avoidants are masters of indirect communication. Instead of asking you how you're doing, they'll ask someone else. Instead of texting you, "I miss you," they'll linger where they know you'll hear about it. This is their way of staying close without confronting the vulnerability of actually reaching out. As the brilliant Brené Brown once said, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. And that's exactly what avoidants avoid, the unpredictable outcome of an honest conversation. So, they take the back route. They show up where you are or where you used to be. They want updates on your life, but they want to receive that information safely, from a distance, through someone else. If they hear you've been doing well, they'll feel that quiet sting of jealousy. If they hear you've been distant, it'll confirm their worst fear, that you're slipping away for good. Either way, the fact that they're even asking or showing up, it means they're not over it. And let's be real, avoidants don't waste their energy on people they've truly moved on from. If they're orbiting your world again, it's because part of them still wants in. They just don't know how to say it without exposing their ego. So the next time you hear, "Hey, guess who asked about you?" or you randomly bump into them somewhere they never used to be, know that it's not random. It's a quiet breadcrumb of regret, a sign that they're not as detached as they want you to believe. Sign number 3. They bring up inside jokes, old memories, or accidentally remind you of the good times. Avoidants rarely come out and say, "I miss you," but they'll say it in other ways. Sneaky, subtle ways that seem harmless on the surface, but carry deep emotional weight underneath. One of the most telling signs they regret losing you is when they start to casually bring up old memories, share inside jokes, or reference things only the two of you would understand. It could be something as simple as, "Remember that weird cafe we stumbled into that one night?" Or, "That song you used to play all the time just came on the radio." Sounds innocent, right? But here's the thing. They're not reminiscing for fun. They're reminding you and themselves of the connection you had. And when an avoidant starts dipping back into shared emotional territory, that's not just nostalgia. That's regret trying to find a voice. As author Milan Kundera once wrote, "The struggle of man against power is the struggle of memory against forgetting." Your avoidant ex is fighting to keep your memory alive, both in their world and in yours. They're trying to see if the emotional bond still exists beneath the silence and the space. Avoidants feel deeply, but express poorly. So instead of saying they miss you, they'll mention your old dog, your favorite Netflix show, or that random road trip you took together. These aren't just memories, they're emotional anchors. Each one is a small, safe way for them to say, "Hey, I haven't forgotten." And what makes this so revealing is that they choose the good memories. The laughter, the connection, the closeness. Why? Because they're trying to feel it again. They're trying to test whether you still feel it too. And let's be honest, people don't bring up the past if they're fully content with their present. So the next time they bring up that inside joke only the two of you get, or casually mention that time when, listen closely. They're not just reminiscing, they're reaching out, with the only language they know how to use, nostalgia. Sign number 4. Their energy shifts. When they see you've moved on, or even look like you have nothing, rattles an avoidant more than realizing they're no longer the center of your emotional world. One of the clearest hidden signs your avoidant ex regrets losing you. Their entire energy changes when they sense you've moved on, or when you simply stop making them your focus. At first, they might not show it. They might even pretend they're happy for you or act indifferent. But deep down, avoidants have fragile egos wrapped in armor. The moment they realize they've lost your attention, or worse, that someone else now has it, their regret sharpens into something visceral. Maybe they see a photo of you smiling with friends, glowing with confidence. Maybe you posted a quote that screams, "I'm doing just fine without you." Or perhaps they find out through the grapevine that you're dating again. They'll never say it out loud, but inside, panic, insecurity, jealousy, all those feelings they've been suppressing start to rise up. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." That moment when you stop giving your ex emotional power is the moment they start to feel their own power slip. You're no longer orbiting them, and that shakes them in ways they didn't expect. You might notice a change in their behavior right after. Suddenly, they're more active online. They post thirst traps. They upload stories that seem suspiciously aimed at getting your attention. You might even get a text out of nowhere. "Hey, just thinking about you. How have you been?" But let's be honest, they weren't just thinking about you. They were thinking about losing you for real this time. Avoidants often don't realize what they had until it no longer revolves around them. Your emotional detachment is a wake-up call. It tells them, you're not the center of my world anymore. And in that space where you once chased or waited or hoped, there's now silence, power, growth. And that's when the regret sinks in deep. So if you're noticing a shift in their energy the moment you pull back, or the moment you start to focus on you again, don't dismiss it. That's not just coincidence. That's a hidden sign your absence is louder than your presence ever was. Sign number 5. They try to make you jealous, subtly but intentionally. Avoidants aren't the type to chase after you with a dramatic love letter or a late-night confession. But once they feel the sting of regret, they'll often try something else instead. They'll try to make you jealous. And they'll do it in ways that seem casual, even unintentional. But trust me, it's calculated. It might look like this. They suddenly start posting more selfies. They go out more, post stories with new people, maybe even the opposite sex, showing off a life that seems fun, effortless and unbothered. They're laughing, smiling, thriving. But here's the catch. They weren't doing any of this before. These changes only happened once you began to pull back. As the great Napoleon Bonaparte once said, never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. And while your ex isn't your enemy, this quote applies perfectly. Their attempt to spark jealousy is actually an emotional misstep, a sign of insecurity, not confidence. If they truly didn't care, they wouldn't be trying so hard to show you what you're missing. This behavior often comes from a deep place of fear. See, when an avoidant regrets losing you, they won't come out and say, I miss you. Instead, they'll say, look how happy I am without you, hoping you'll be the one to break the silence. They want to know if you still care. They want to see if they still have emotional pull, and jealousy is their way of baiting a reaction. But here's the twist. Their need to make you jealous is actually a sign of emotional attachment. You don't try to provoke someone you're indifferent about. You do it when you feel something and don't know how to deal with it. This is especially true for avoidants who fear vulnerability but crave connection. So if their social media suddenly turns into a highlight reel of "look what you lost," know this. It's not about showing the world they've moved on. It's about making sure you haven't. And when you don't respond the way they hoped, when you stay silent, unbothered and grounded in your worth, it rattles them even more. Because deep down, your avoidant ex isn't trying to show you they've replaced you. They're trying to see if they still matter to you. And when that question goes unanswered, the regret gets louder. Sign number 6. They start bringing up personal growth. But it's really about you. When your avoidant ex starts hinting that they're working on themselves, it might sound like progress. And maybe it is. But often it's also a hidden message. One of the most overlooked signs that they regret losing you is when they begin talking about change, healing, or growth, especially if it's conveniently timed with your detachment. You might get a message like, "I've been thinking a lot lately about my patterns," or "I've been reading about attachment styles. It's crazy how much I didn't understand back then." At first glance it sounds mature, and in many cases it is. But look deeper. They're not just updating you about their life. They're trying to reopen the emotional conversation. This isn't just self-reflection. It's a soft launch into vulnerability, which avoidants rarely do unless something's stirring inside them, like regret. As Carl Rogers, one of the fathers of humanistic psychology, once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." And when an avoidant reaches this point, where they finally begin to admit their flaws, even in small ways, it's often driven by the quiet realization that they lost someone valuable. You. They may not say, "I want to get back together," but suddenly they're interested in healing childhood wounds. They're going to therapy, they're journaling, and the timing almost always lines up with your emotional pullback. That's not a coincidence, that's a reaction. Because here's the truth, avoidants do feel, they just delay. And once that emotional delay catches up, it often shows up disguised as personal growth. It's their way of saying, "Maybe I wasn't ready then, but I'm trying now." So if you start hearing them speak the language of introspection, of healing, of learning from the past, don't ignore it. It's not just about them, it's about you. Your absence created a space for reflection and their sudden urge to evolve. That's the echo of regret, knocking softly on the door they once slammed shut. Sign number 7. They keep the door open without actually walking through it. Perhaps the most confusing and telling sign of all. Your avoidant ex starts leaving little windows cracked open. They won't say they want you back, but they won't fully let you go either. They linger, and that lingering, that's regret dressed in indecision. They'll say things like, "I don't know what the future holds. Maybe we just needed time apart," or the classic, "I still care about you. I just don't know what I want." Sound familiar? This is what avoidants do when they regret losing you, but can't fully face the emotional weight of admitting it. They're trying to keep one foot in the door just in case they decide to come back. It's not a full commitment, but it's not closure either. It's a grey area, and they want you to stay in it. As the poet David Whyte once wrote, "The price of our vitality is the sum of all our fears." And for the avoidant, the fear of losing you forever begins to outweigh the fear of intimacy. But that fear doesn't instantly turn them into someone ready to love you the right way. So instead, they hover. Not because they're certain about what they want, but because they're terrified to see you move on without them. They may reach out on birthdays, drop random compliments, or just check in every few weeks with no real purpose. This isn't emotional maturity, it's emotional tethering. A subtle way to say, "Don't forget me." And behind that, regret, longing, unfinished business. The key here is clarity. If they regret losing you but they're not stepping up, that's still a choice. And you deserve more than breadcrumbs. You deserve someone who walks through the door and stays, not someone who hovers outside it hoping you'll do the work of inviting them back. So if you feel like your ex is keeping the energy alive just enough to stay relevant in your life, but not enough to rebuild what was lost, you're not imagining it. It's a hidden sign of regret, wrapped in fear, ego, and avoidance. But now, you see it for what it is. And there it is. The 7 hidden signs your avoidant ex regrets losing you. Subtle, quiet, sometimes confusing. But now that you know how to recognize them, you're no longer stuck wondering. You see the truth behind their silence, their indirect moves, and their hesitation. But here's the most important part. Just because they regret losing you doesn't mean you owe them another chance. Regret is not the same as change. Wanting you back isn't the same as being ready to show up for you the right way. And your job isn't to decode them. It's to protect your peace. You've done the work. You've grown. You've learned to stand in your worth. And now, you get to choose from a place of power, not pain. As Oprah once said, you don't get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve. So the real question is, what do you believe you deserve now? If this video gave you clarity, helped you feel seen, or helped you let go of even 1 ounce of doubt, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This channel is here to guide you through the messy middle of heartbreak and healing, all the way to your glow-up. And if you're ready to take your power back, for real this time, comment below. I see the signs, but I choose myself. Say it, mean it, live it. I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong, stay wise, and never forget, you were the prize all along.